Inside Marquette Basketball with Buzz Williams is brought to you in part by AirTran Airways. For low fares to over 50 cities, book at airtran.com. Don't give up the sport, give up the pain. Talk to the Aurora Sports Medicine Institute. And by U.S. Bank, a proud sponsor of Marquette Athletics. All of us serving you.
Welcome to Inside Marquette Basketball with Buzz Williams. I'm Dennis Krause. Our final show as we wrap up the season. And first off, Coach, congratulations on the season and the Sweet 16 appearance.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I never thought that we would do 19 TV shows in 1 year. But I think if you do 19, that probably means you've played more games than people anticipated. So I'm thankful to be at the show one last time and thankful for the success that we had towards the end of the year.
You like to face things straight on, so let's dive right into the North Carolina game, as unpleasant as it might be, the 81-63 loss in New Jersey. You started out with a 10-8 lead and then kind of everything exploded. How do you think that happened? Was it nerves? Was it just North Carolina's excellence?
Yeah, I think it's probably a combination of everything that you could think of. I didn't think initially that it would be nerves, and then going back and watching it, it's 10-8, like you said. So if there were nerves, how did we get to the 10-8? But like you said, that how we finished the half from that point forward, it was numbing. You know, I've never used 3 timeouts in the first half. And I told our guys during the second timeout that I used, guys, I'm not mad at you. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help us get back in some sort of groove. 0 assists and 12 turnovers maybe are the only 2 numbers that you need to look at. 67% of our baskets had been assisted baskets entering that game, in the top 10 in the country for the 3rd consecutive year. And we finished Big East play averaging 11.4 turnovers per game, which was first in our league. Always want to give credit to the opponent. Their length and athleticism can overwhelm you. But at the same time, we were just so discombobulated, and we could never get it flipped back. And, you know, when I used the 4th timeout after they scored 2 layups to start the second half, from that point forward, you know, for the half, in the second half, we shot 53%. They shot 38%. We had 8 assists. Those are numbers that are more like us. And as I told our guys, you can't say that if we would have played the second half the way we played the first half, we would have won. That's foolish. But if we would have played the second half the way we would have played the first half, now the second half would have been a game. It would have been probably more like all of the other games that we have been associated with. And it wasn't just one guy. It wasn't just the starters. It was our whole group. And I also would say that I need to take some of the blame on that, because I think our guys read off me, and maybe they thought I was uptight. Maybe, so I don't know. I wish that we would have had a better performance in the first half, because as I told them, what we have accrued in equity and what we have accrued in success up until this point, I don't want to destroy it because of how we handled the first half. And pretty much that's what I told them at halftime, and I thought they were much better in the second half.
In that first half stretch, 9 minutes scoreless, missed 13 straight shots, 5 turnovers, 19-0 North Carolina run that stretched to 32-5. Shot selection, was that a factor, or was it just the shots weren't going in?
Yeah, I think the defense mechanism of any team is when things begin to go bad, hey, this possession I'll help. Let me break the chain. Let me help get us back in a groove. So I would say that there were more bad shots in the first half than we typically take in a game. But the other thing that I would say is they were shots that we never take because they weren't assisted shots. You know, we were penetrating. When we did penetrate, there was absolutely no movement off of that penetration. And we were driving, and it was like one guy drives and 4 guys just stood there. And that is going to lead to bad shots. That is going to lead to what looks as though are selfish shots. And like you said, I mean, when you miss 13 shots in a row, it probably trends towards you're not going to have the intensity that you have to have in order to stop a team like North Carolina defensively. And again, we got back to that in the second half. You know, we scored 48 points in the second half. Well, that's completely different than 15 points, you know, so.
You mentioned your message to them in those timeouts in the first half. When you go into the locker room at half down 40-15, what was kind of your theme at that point?
I was as calm as I have ever been. And I just said, hey, guys, I love you. Whether we win or lose, I love you. This has been an unbelievable deal for all of us. And the thing that I'm disappointed in is that to get it to this point, that we displayed what we did the past 20 minutes. Can we win this game? I don't know. But let's go back to how we always play. Let's play it in 4-minute games, and let's see what happens. You can't get to this level and think that you're going to advance doing it in some manner other than what you did to get to this point. I never raised my voice. I never used any words that I couldn't use on TV. I just told them the truth. And because I wanted them to do well. I wanted them to represent themselves appropriately and represent us appropriately. And I thought that the character that they showed, Dennis, in the second half was their character. And, you know, Jay Crowder, that we start the second half, and he's over there hitting his fist. And I go, what's the deal, Jay? And he goes, what you said is right, Coach. What you said is right. What were we doing? What were we doing? And I said, man, I think it's a lot of different things. You know, everybody's fired up. Everybody's too fired up. Everybody's nervous. Everybody thinks they can do one thing to help us. But it was one thing different, one thing more that they didn't do up until that point. We're such a rhythmic team. I think we have great rhythm in how we play. I think we have great pace in how we play. And I think that's what we talk about. That's what we work on. That's what we practice. And we never had any rhythm post 10-8 the rest of the first half.
Got as close as 14 in the second half. Our AirTran key stat of the week, Devontae Gardner, 16 points in 18 minutes, 6 rebounds, 6 of 9 from the floor, 4 of 5 from the free throw line. He was a bright spot in this game.
Well, he didn't know what game it was. You know what I mean? I mean, that's Devontae. Okay, we're going to play in Newark and play in North Carolina. Like, he's similar to Joe. He's kind of similar to Junior. Like, that has zero impact on him. And in a lot of ways, that's really good. And, you know, when you, as an assistant or even as a head coach, when you're given a scouting report and you start talking about this player and that player and this and McDonald's All-American and he was ranked and he was this, you know, about half our guys, they don't even know what all that stuff is. And in some ways, kind of demented, that's healthy. Devontae don't know who Zeller is. He doesn't know he's got brothers. He has no idea. Just, hey, throw me the ball and I'll go to work on this guy. And that's pretty much what he did when he was playing.
Much more with the coach inside Marquette basketball with Buzz Williams. Stay with us.
Like him, I enjoy him. I've gotten to know him a lot better over the last couple of years. We spent some time together this summer. We've shared a few laughs and a few opportunities to do some things together, and I really do enjoy him. But most of the time, the teams take on the personality of their coach a little bit, and they have a tremendous enthusiasm, a tremendous energy level themselves. But you know, Coach Smith was always the greatest example. I mean, Coach Smith, everybody saw this very reserved, but deep inside, I mean, he was churning, and that's the way his teams played. And but I see Buzz as doing a great job with his team and a guy that I really enjoy.
Back with the coach, you can kind of tell when a coach is giving an obligatory comment about another coach. What Roy Williams just said, you could tell was pretty sincere about you.
I appreciate that. He doesn't have to say those things. My career will pale in comparison to his. He's a really good person, and I think what happens is as you progress, no matter your profession, sometimes you forget about that path that led to the progression. I don't think Coach Williams has forgotten that. And I think for whatever reason, that's why he and I have connected. I know his wife, and he's pointing out his wife to me in the stands before the game, and he knows Corey, and I'm pointing out Corey in the stands. And I think in the end, that's probably what it should be about. I think sometimes we go so fast and the media is so involved that it creates a picture that's not necessarily what it really is.
This is the U.S. Bank Up Close segment. We thank Steve the Homer True, the voice of Marquette basketball, for his interviews all season long. In this segment, we throw out some questions to you. And let me start with this. Did your team this season, in your opinion, maximize its potential?
The last month, yes. The month of February didn't maximize it, was just okay. I think there was a lot of things that through the growth of our team and the immaturity of our team, when you look at the guys that were playing, there's no way you could classify them in any way other than immature because they hadn't been through all that they have been through. When we had 8 years of experience on our roster, that there is going to be some ups and downs, but I think that we finally, towards the end, we came around and maximized what we could be.
We're taping this on the 34th anniversary of Marquette's NCAA championship. It was March 28th, 1977 in Atlanta. Can you win a national championship at Marquette currently?
You have zero margin for error in order to do that. Yes, you can do that, but everything's got to be on point. And I think so much is talked about with the players and so much is talked about with the coach, me. Obviously, those are key components. But I really think in order to win a national championship, from the very bottom of your organization to the very top of your organization, you have to have both feet in, and you have to have both feet in every single day because the margin, the game has changed. That's why VCU's in the Final Four. That's why Butler's in the Final Four. 34 years ago, Marquette's winning the national championship, and they're not in a league. UConn's still playing. They finished tied with us in our league this year. I just think that you have to do that every day, not just on game day, not just during the season. It starts today relative to where we want to be a year from today.
You make some great points about who's in the Final Four. This is the first time since they went to the seeding process in 1979 that neither a number 1 seed or a number 2 seed is in the Final Four. It was a wide open season, and it's reflected in the tournament, isn't it?
And I think that that's why you can win a national championship at Marquette, because there is parity. It has somewhat diluted. There are still the blue bloods that are always going to be really, really good. But that's why the margin is very slim, almost none, relative to the decisions that you have to make, relative to how you function off the court, what you do on the court, what you do in practice, what are you teaching fundamentally based that will carry you through 2 games per weekend in the postseason. I just think that there's a variety of things that come into that.
We will meet one of the unsung members of Coach's staff when we return on Inside Marquette Basketball with Buzz Williams. Back with the coach, and when I say the words graduate manager, what does that mean?
I wouldn't wish that on anybody. If the graduate manager is working for me, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But I'll tell you what, Logan Bean, who was a graduate manager for us when I was hired, I hired him. He's the director of basketball operations at the University of Northern Colorado, who went to the NCAA tournament for the first time ever. Jamie McNeely was a graduate manager. Obviously, he played for me at New Orleans. He's now our video coordinator. And so Blair is the 3rd graduate manager we've hired during my 3 years here. And I think he's going to end up being a star. I love what he's about. And he has been a vital role within what we've done on a daily basis, specific to me, but also specific to his relationship with our players.
Let's meet Blair Broadhurst in the Aurora Sports Medicine Institute All Access segment. Blair Broadhurst has basketball in his DNA.
Growing up in Texas, the first-year graduate manager at Marquette was coached by his dad in high school. It's where he first saw his future in basketball.
I grew up, I started playing for him when I was a sophomore. Had a pretty good sophomore year and really excited about going to my junior year, and I tore my knee up, so I had to sit out the whole year. And I got to sit on the bench with him, and I really got to appreciate what he did as a coach instead of a player. And I knew then, I'd always known I wanted to get into coaching, but I knew then that was a sign that it was really for me. And yeah, he taught me so much, and I learned so much from him by playing for him, and that year I was out watching how he did things.
Blair was drawn to Marquette by its reputation for hard work.
Coming to work every day and doing what you're supposed to do, and having a mentality that you're going to get better every day, and not just say it, but do it.
In Buzz Williams, Broadhurst has found a mentor and career path he wants to follow.
I've really learned a lot. Came in and just really tried to soak in the information given, and I've really learned a lot. So I've always kind of followed him around when he was at UTA, all that stuff. So I've really just loved the way he worked his way up through the system, just hard work. And I came down here last summer to work camp and got to meet him and talk to him, and it was just, I knew once I had come down and got to see how he did things that it's where I wanted to be.
Broadhurst also worked for legendary coach Bob Knight at Texas Tech. He says intensity isn't the only trait shared by Coach Knight and Coach Williams.
The players respect them, and they respect their players. They will do anything for those guys. They will do anything. And the guys know that, and so they're willing to work for people like that. That's just what I've seen, and I think Coach Williams does a really good job about that. He works them really hard, but he also shows them respect and cares about the kids. He really cares about them, and they want to work for him because of that.
You've obviously done a good job of selecting these guys. How do you go about that process?
I'm real slow. I mean, when you think about all the guys that I've hired since I've been here, Coach Lair's now the head coach at Liberty. Jake Nelp, who was our video coordinator, is a full-time assistant at Mercer. I'm real slow and deliberate because I think that you have to be a special person to be in this business. But I think that you have to have unique talents in order to have success in our culture, in our business. It's like what they used to do in Vacation Bible School. This is the church and this is the steeple. Open it up and there's the people. Well, this is Marquette, this is Jesu, open it up and there's our people. Those people are really important. That's what makes us. And guys like Blair, who nobody knows, hey, I wear Blair out every single day, and we need guys like Blair. So I'm very deliberate in how I go about it.
We'll look ahead to next season with the coach right after this. Back on Inside Marquette Basketball with Buzz Williams. I know emotionally you're probably still in this past season. We'll look ahead to 2011, 2012 in a moment. But first of all, some final thoughts about the seniors that are leaving you.
I'm really going to miss them. Everybody knows the attachment that I have to Joe, and it speaks to the character of our kids that they understand that attachment and they respect that attachment. I stand at attention for Dwight Bikes, for his willingness to commit to us before I'd ever coached a game, for his willingness to come back to Milwaukee and be an example to a million other Dwight Bikeses that are much younger. We're going to miss Jimmy Butler, I think, more than any player that's a departing senior since I've been employed here, because of his intelligence and because of his versatility. Those three guys, Joe, because of his injuries, was the perfect example of what a Marquette teammate should be and how he handled the ups and downs of his injuries. I'm going to really miss him. And I told all of them when I got off the bus, all you guys know this, I'm the absolute worst at saying hello, and I'm the absolute worst at saying goodbye. The first impression I give as a person, the first impression I give as a coach, normally is the complete opposite of what I really am. And part of that is because I'm not good at saying hello and I'm not good at saying goodbye. But I'm really going to miss those three guys.
And Rob Frazina got a 3 in the tournament.
How about that? How about Vander Blue drives it and pitches it, and Rob shoots it like he's in Caston? I think he'll remember that forever. And, you know, he got to play in 2 of the 3 NCAA tournament games we played in. And I do think that 10 years from now, when he's a CEO, I can use that on my resume to get him to hire me.
I know, Coach, that everybody is important. But as you look ahead to next season, are there 2 or 3 guys that really need to elevate for Marquette to succeed and stay at the level you've been?
Some of those young guys that may or may not have played. Mello is going to have, Jamel Jones is going to have an impact on our team. Jamil Wilson, who was a red shirt, is going to have an impact on our team. Vander is going to play a lot more, and he's going to have more of an impact on both ends of the floor. Devontae's got to get in 50% better shape than he is now. His body's got to change. Chris and Junior have got to continue to evolve the way they have been evolving. Eric Williams played with a shoulder injury all year long. We're going to have to figure out the best mode of getting that straight in this week probably. Whether that requires surgery or not, we don't know. You're only going to be as good as your returning guys. I've always said that. And we need all of those guys to continue to have a really good 6 weeks to finish up this semester. And then this summer, they're going to have to be really good.
You're a long way from thinking about starting jobs. But in your ideal world, would Junior seize that point guard position and kind of take over the team on a consistent basis?
I think so. I think that over the last month, that became evident relative to how the ball moves when he's in the game. I thought he became much better defensively. And you know, not sticking up for Junior, he was really a freshman this year. And I think he grew maybe just as much as anybody else towards the end of the year. And we just need that growth to continue so that next November when we play, he's much better than he was in the NCAA tournament this year.
So you go 500 miles an hour for so many months. What now for you?
Well, I'm going to try not to go anywhere this week. I have to go to the Final Four. I'm speaking at several events at the Final Four this weekend. And then the recruiting period opens up next Wednesday, not this Wednesday, next Wednesday. I'll be on the road as much as possible. I'll go watch Jimmy in Portsmouth. We'll have the basketball banquet on the 13th. Hopefully we can have that completely sold out. And then the recruiting period, in essence, Dennis, ends on April the 30th. And I would say between now and April the 30th, I'm probably going to be gone 15 days. I recruit 22 days in July. And so hopefully those last 2 weeks of May and the middle 2 weeks of August, I can completely be shut down. But, you know, it takes me a while because I suffer from, I'm not going 500 miles an hour. And I get depressed, I get sad, I get happy. I go through a juggernaut of emotions over the next couple of weeks, and so as best I can, I just try to stay by my wife and children because she helps me kind of decompress and get through all of that.
Coach, it's been fun. Thanks for everything, and congratulations on the season.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for what you do for us.
Appreciate it. That's Inside Marquette Basketball with Buzz Williams. We'll see you next season.
Inside Marquette Basketball with Buzz Williams was brought to you in part by the Aurora Sports Medicine Institute, the exclusive sports medicine provider to Marquette University Athletics. U.S. Bank, a proud sponsor of Marquette Athletics, all of us serving you. And by Air Trent Airways, go. There's nothing stopping you.